Hello, everybody. It is Captain Marty here, Wednesday, May the 5th. Thanks for joining us again today. If you've been with us and if you're brand new, well, we're glad to have you aboard, as they say, along the coast. A little bit hit and miss on the fishing yesterday, but the species list is getting larger. More and more stuff starting to bite. We'll talk about some cobia in the catches in today's report. I'll be back to do all that in just a moment.
Ready to ride in style? At KDH Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at milepost 5.5 on the bypass in Kill Devil Hills, we're more than just a dealership. We're the island dealer that deals. Check out jaw-dropping deals on new and pre-owned Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler models. The island dealer that deals has the wheels you need and the deals you'll love. Check out our inventory at Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram.com. KDH Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at milepost 5.5 on the bypass in Kill Devil Hills. We're the island dealer that deals. Stock up and cast out with Soundside Sporting Goods in Columbia, your one-stop fishing headquarters right off of Highway 64. From fresh mullet and fresh bait to brands like Fish Bites, Strike King, Gulp, Zoom, Mirror and Bass Lures galore, they've got the gear to keep the lines tight and the coolers full. Need new fishing line? They'll re-spool your reels and get you back on the water fast. With rods, reels, waders, buoy boots, and a full-service tackle shop ready to roll, this is the spot anglers trust before the next big bite. Visit them online at SoundsideSportingGoods.com. Soundside Sporting Goods. I mean, why go anywhere else?
So down to Hatteras, we always start with them. Same way I started my Outer Banks career down in Hatteras. Place is near and dear to me. The fleet got offshore and they had a nice mixed bag of fish. A little bit of a seafood platter with some blackfin tuna. They had some scattered dolphin. They still call them dolphin in Hatteras, which I love. You may know them better as a mahi, but it's the fish dolphin. And they had a few wahoo down there too. It's three of the very, very best eating fish that swim in the Gulf Stream. So good for them. And then their inshore boats had a good day catching sheephead. You know, back in my days in Hatteras, sheephead weren't really a thing. You might bump into one or two in a commercial catch, but now that's a target species. The numbers are good. Hard fighting fish. Great eating. It's in the porgy family, so that's really good. They also had some Spanish mackerel down there, and there's one or two boats that bumped into some drum outside the inlet, and a very few of these small cobia that are starting to show up as well. And there was a couple of these black drum biting as well out there. And we'll talk about that in the Oregon Inlet report as well. And so we'll jump up to the Oregon Inlet offshore fleet, a little bit on the scrappy side. You had to have a little luck with you, and it's been hot and cold for offshore fishing. I saw Barry Daniels, who helps me a lot with information for this report. He had, I think he had one or two yellowfins, 4 or 5 blackfins, a couple of dolphin, and maybe a wahoo. And there again, just like Hatteras, it's a nice mixed catch. But we're not seeing the tuna fishing as good as it normally is at this time of year. I've seen several of the boats mentioning that, talking about it a little bit. But they were a little bit late getting kicked off last year, so maybe that's all that it is. We certainly had a banner year on the bluefin tuna, the great big ones, all the way back into last fall. So we're a little bit spoiled maybe, but the yellowfin is the meat and potatoes of the Oregon Inlet fleet. That's why everybody books. They want to come along and they want to catch a box full of big tunas. And it's really kind of scrappy. The fish, Barry, I think, started way down on the Hatteras end and fished up. Other boats, according to what I heard, were out east of the inlet in the deep. When I say the deep, I mean beyond the continental shelf. So it's really kind of like a lot of searching and not as much catching going on, but it can change in a day, and it probably will. Oregon Inlet, they had bluefish up inside the inlet. Cobia season is open. There was a few cobia. I saw a few nice big red drum and black drum by boats that ran into them outside the inlet, and there's been some nice sea bass. I saw Devin Cage on the poacher with a 5-pounder. That's another great eating fish. I if you can't already tell, I really favor the bottom feeding fish down there in the cooler water. All they eat is shrimp and crabs, shellfish, things of that nature. The fish up on the surface out in the Gulf Stream, I love them too, but they eat a lot of squid, they eat a lot of herring, flying fish, and a lot of more oily fish. They eat a lot of bonitas and things like that. They're still good. You throw me a tuna steak on the grill this evening, I'll be right there to eat it. You can bet I will. I love them. So surf fishing, pretty picky, hit and miss. We finally got 60-degree water temperature in Nags Head. We saw a few sea mullet in catches. It's just really a nice mix, but not a great amount of quantity. We had puppy drum, we had a few black drum, a few bluefish, some spot and some blowtoads. That's the northern beaches. Hatteras Island has had some of those bigger bluefish from Hatteras Inlet all the way up to Oregon Inlet. That's been pretty regular for the last couple of weeks. There's still drum being caught. There's a few big ones caught on Cape Point at night. And again, the whole thing is just like the rest of the report. It's hit and miss. Takes a little bit of luck to be where you're a hitter and not a misser. I only got one peer report yesterday. Small bluefish and croakers on 58 degrees on Jeanette's Pier, and they also had a few nice-sized sea mullet. So that's what's going on there. We'll take a little break, and I'll come back and talk to you about what little bit of a backcountry report I have.
Hi, I'm LB Daniels, and when you want great local seafood, you go to Fresh Catch Seafood in Wanchese. How do I know it's great? My daddy is one of the fishermen that brings it to the docks. At Fresh Catch Seafood, you will get local seafood right from their fish house. They are a family-owned business that knows the name of every fisherman that comes to their docks. Visit their social media pages to see the latest catches. My daddy would love to put his tuna on your dinner plate, so get it now from Fresh Catch Seafood in Wanchese.
When I say backcountry, generally speaking, that's anything inside the inlets, all the way back into the Pamlico Sound and all the other sounds, all the way over to the western side, to the Inner Banks of North Carolina. And there's a pretty good big drum bite for the experts over on the western side of the sound, but it is not easy, and you really got to be on your A game to find them. So that is really about all I had, other than I've been talking to you a little bit about these bluefish that are up inside Oregon Inlet. So that technically is a backcountry catch. And we still are seeing some stuff on some rockfish and some catfish in the northern and western part of the backcountry. Albemarle Sound, Alligator River, all that way. We're not seeing the bite we had yet all year long on the backside of Hatteras Island and all the way around Roanoke Island for our wade fishermen, which is really to me, the funnest way to go fishing. But we'll let you know when that stuff starts lighting off a little bit. Meanwhile, you need to go out and wet a line. The best thing you can do, we're not into that point yet where you have to be there at first light and last light. You can fish all day long right now with these moderate temperatures. But if that water temperature jumps up a couple more degrees, you need to be aware of it. When it gets into the 60s, they'll really start snapping pretty good, and we'll start seeing some speckled trout in the surf. We're already starting to see the Spanish mackerel showing up. Next thing will be some pompano. So we're right on the brink of it busting loose. So get all your gear together, shop at your local tackle shops, get your local knowledge, your fresh bait, go fishing. I hope you have a great day, and I hope the good Lord blesses you richly.